Certainly. Here's section 1 of Born on Earth, Crowned Among Stars, expanded into a full 700+ word narrative. Hashtag section 1, The Spark Beneath the Sky. In the twilight years of the 22nd century, Earth still clung to life. The planet had survived wars, plagues, climate collapses, and near-AI enslavement. What remained was not peace, but balance. Megacities bloomed like chrome tumors across the continents. Skyways coiled between floating arcologies, and the oceans had retreated behind gravity walls. The United Stellar Coalition, a fragile alliance of orbital powers, ruled from above while ground nations tried to survive under their silent gaze. In Lagos megacity, where solar towers blinked through the sand-choked sky, Amina El-Rashid was born. Her mother, Dr. Farah El-Rashid, had once mapped gravitational anomalies around Saturn. Her father, Isa El-Rashid, built fusion grids for collapsing African energy states. Their home was a puzzle of solar tiles, stacked books and dusty maps of the stars, each one painted with hope and ashes. Amina's childhood was lit by the glow of Martian telemetry and the distant hum of launch engines. She grew up on myth and science, that Earth had always looked up, always wanted to rise, and had failed time and again. Her mother vanished during a classified USC orbital experiment when Amina was only 10. The only thing left behind was a coded message, a series of celestial coordinates and one word, **Elara***. That word haunted her. By 23, Amina had become the youngest graduate of the Coalition Academy's Astronavigation Division. She didn't just solve equations, she felt the drift of space in her bones. Her instructors said she navigated through time, not stars. She had the reflexes of a pilot and the mind of a theorist. But it wasn't enough. She didn't want to chart stars. She wanted to understand them. And the stars were starting to speak. In 2196, a signal emerged from beyond the Kuiper belt. Faint. Non-random. Repeating. The USC called it Object Zeta, buried in quantum noise from deep space. It wasn't a transmission, it was a memory, encoded into a fragment of alien matter found drifting near Neptune's orbit. The fragment sang with light no one could explain. It pulsed when touched. It responded when spoken to. Earth's best minds were called in. Among them was Dr. Kazuo Mura, a reclusive xenolinguist and former neural interface theorist. He'd left academia after claiming he'd encountered a dream language embedded in alien signals. He watched Amina during a test flight simulation and immediately requested her for a mission she'd never heard of, the Pathfinder Initiative. Officially, the initiative was a scientific deep space probe program. In truth, it was something far more audacious. A dozen of the most promising cadets, scientists and tacticians had been gathered to form the crew of the Sovereign Flame, a prototype starship capable of lightfold propulsion, designed to go beyond the system. Their destination, the source of the Zeta signal. A place older than Earth. Maybe older than the Milky Way. Amina accepted without hesitation. But not everyone on Earth supported the mission. The Earth Dominion Front, a powerful technocratic separatist faction, believed the stars should be left alone. To them, alien interference was the reason humanity had suffered centuries of chaos. They blamed the rise of artificial intelligence, the mutations of early deep space colonists, and the loss of human purpose on external contamination. The stars, they claimed, were traps. 2 days before launch, a Dominion agent planted a sabotage worm into the Flame's flight protocols. Amina discovered it during a manual system sync, saving the vessel before liftoff. Her action made her a hero among the crew, but a marked woman among the radicals. The night before departure, her father met her at the edge of the Atlantic Wall. The ocean glistened like molten ink behind stormglass. He was older now, slower. His once dark beard had gone gray. But his eyes still held fire. "You know," he said, "your mother never stopped looking up. Even when we were starving. Even when Lagos drowned in heat. She believed in something up there. Something vast. Something waiting." Amina nodded. "So do I." He handed her a thin pendant, copper and obsidian. Her mother's old seal. A spiral, coiling outward like a galaxy, etched with the same word, Elara. "I don't know what it means," he said. "But she died for it. Maybe you'll find the answer." As dawn broke, the Sovereign Flame ignited above Earth's sky. Amina stood on the command bridge, watching as the blue curve of home shrank behind her. Her heart beat with 1,000 questions, but one truth: she was no longer earthbound. Unbeknownst to her, far beyond Neptune's edge, something ancient stirred. Something that had not spoken in eons. The quantum fragment within the Flame's chamber pulsed softly in rhythm with her breath. The test had begun. And Earth had finally sent its first answer to the stars. Let me know if you'd like to move on to section 2, or expand this even further into a full chapter or story. Absolutely. Here's section 2 of Born on Earth, Crowned Among Stars, written as a full narrative with 700 plus words. Hashtag section 2, Where Gods Dared Not Tread. The stars, once romanticized from Earth's surface, now loomed as ancient sentinels, watching, waiting, and indifferent. The sovereign flame cut silently through the void beyond the heliopause, past the last known planetary bodies of humanity's home system. With its quantum envelope and layered shields, it moved faster than any ship before it, not by brute propulsion, but by folding space in on itself. The lightfold engine, still in its infancy, left trails of distorted reality behind the ship, warping time like ripples in a black lake. But despite the science, something unexplainable was happening. The crew began to dream. It started subtly. Nightmares of impossible staircases. Of temples made of bone orbiting dead stars. Of voices that spoke in colors. One by one, the Flames crew experienced shared visions, though each believed the scenes to be private. Their dreams coalesced around a single repeating image, a throne suspended in the heart of a dying galaxy, surrounded by screaming suns. Amina was the first to admit it out loud. At the morning rotation meeting, she described her dream. 3 other crewmates nodded, their faces pale. Dr. Mura, who had grown increasingly quiet since departure, only smiled. "You're hearing it," he whispered. "The memory of the architects." The flame approached its target, System Zeta-Rayon, a rogue planetary system orbiting a neutron star that itself spun in defiance of physics. Gravity here twisted light into halos, and time staggered like a drunk stumbling through a dream. At the edge of the system, nestled in the frozen orbit of a gas giant, loomed something colossal. A structure blacker than space, shaped like a broken ring spanning hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Half of it was shattered, its ends curling like torn metal. The ship's scanners initially mistook it for a moon, until it responded with a pulse of light. The crew called it the Ring Archive. Upon approach, the Flame's onboard systems began to degrade. Instruments gave contradictory readings. The AI reported recursive code loops, as if it was reading memories it never had. Attempts to scan the ring resulted in garbled echoes, until the fragment, stored deep in the Flame's vault, began to hum. Amina felt it before she heard it, a pressure behind her eyes, as if someone were pulling her thoughts through a tunnel of stars. She blacked out. She awoke suspended in a field of golden light, floating above what looked like Earth, but wasn't. The continents were wrong. The oceans pulsed with artificial light. The sky had 2 moons, and both wept stardust. She wasn't alone. Standing before her were silhouettes, half-formed and ever-shifting. Each looked almost human, but with features that glitched with every breath. They spoke not with words but memories. A child lost in a storm. A battlefield of glass. A collapsing sun turned to ash. When she awoke again on the Flame, the Ring Archive had opened. A gateway into its core had formed, one that could only be entered by a mind touched by the fragment. Dr. Mura's voice shook as he spoke. "The archive is alive. It's not just data. It's a trial." Amina, Mura, and a small team entered the ring. The inside was like nothing they expected. ***, a city built inside a Dyson halo ***, layered with frozen machines, crystalline trees, and statues of species no one had ever seen. But it was all decaying. Time had eaten through the structure. Reality felt thin. Light bent where it shouldn't. As they advanced, the archive responded. Each member was plunged into a personal illusion, a reality drawn from their fears, guilt, and memories. The trial had begun. For Amina, it was a return to Lagos megacity, but the skyline was cracked and burning. The sun was too large in the sky, and her mother stood atop a tower, smiling as fire consumed the world. "Ilara," her mother said again. "You must choose. The crown does not forgive." The illusion crumbled, and Amina found herself standing before a great circuitry throne, entangled in vines of light. A voice, no longer fragmented, filled her thoughts. "You are the first in millennia to pass the weave. You see not just stars, but stories. You remember without knowing. The Celestis Imperium is gone. But the mantle remains. Will you bear it?" Amina hesitated. The mantle was more than technology. It was a living network, a consciousness composed of 1,000 civilizations, waiting for a host. Accepting it meant death to the self and rebirth as something other, a beacon, a vessel, a judge. She saw the faces of her crew. She saw Earth, still struggling to breathe. She saw the black wave coming, something buried in the void stirring. She whispered, "Yes." The archive pulsed. The mantle surged into her, golden, burning, ancient. Her body convulsed, her eyes glowed like novas, and her voice layered with harmonics not meant for humans. Dr. Mura screamed as his own trial failed. He dissolved into golden dust, whispering, "She is the one." Amina rose. Her skin shimmered with starlight. Her veins carried ancient code. Her thoughts no longer echoed alone. She was no longer just Amina el-Rashid. She was the crown-born, first of a new line of celestial stewards. The ring archive sang. The stars, long silent, stirred once more. And somewhere in the vast dark, something heard, and began to move. Let me know when you're ready for section 3, or if you'd like to expand this into full chapters for a book format. Certainly. Here's section 3 of Born on Earth, Crowned Among Stars, written as a complete 700+ word narrative. ## section 3, Return of the Crownborn. The sovereign flame returned to the solar system wreathed in silence. Of the 40 who had departed Earth's orbit, only 7 souls survived. They bore the weight of a knowledge no human had ever carried, and at their center was Amina el-Rashid, no longer fully human. She stood on the bridge as Earth came into view, her form both familiar and transformed. Her eyes shone like stars compressed into glass. Her skin carried fractal veins of gold and cobalt light, and her voice, when she spoke, rang with layered harmonics that bent nearby electronics into prayer-like tones. The crew whispered her name with awe, fear, and reverence, Crownborn. Earth, however, was not ready for her return. The moment the flame transmitted its arrival signal, a political firestorm ignited. Governments, megacorps, religious authorities, and activist factions erupted in chaos. The United Stellar Coalition celebrated her as a visionary, the first Terran to breach the ancient veil of interstellar intelligence. But the Earth Dominion Front, more powerful and paranoid than ever, declared her an abomination. She has been altered by alien code, they proclaimed. She is not one of us. As the flame docked in high orbit over Earth, security protocols locked her in isolation. Leaders feared what she represented, not just contact, not just knowledge, but evolution. The Crownborn stood beyond Earth's hierarchy, beyond its boundaries. And for those clinging to power, that was unacceptable. But Amina did not need Earth's permission. On her second day back, she stood before a global broadcast, a chamber beneath the Atlantic Accord headquarters, surrounded by armored drones and political elites. They demanded answers. Her presence made data streams fluctuate, made smart glass screens distort. She did not speak until they fell silent from unease. "I have been to the edge of memory," she said, her voice echoing through 10,000 broadcasts. "I have stood where stars were born and civilizations died. I have inherited a legacy not written in books or DNA, but in resonance." She raised a hand, and behind her, holographic projections filled the chamber. *** images of the ring archive ***, vast star-forged cities, and the spectral remains of species long extinguished. She showed them the dying systems the Celestis once protected. She showed them Earth's place, tiny, young, but not insignificant. She told them the truth. Humanity was not seeded by accident. The Celestis touched thousands of worlds. We were all given time. Given chance. All others have fallen. Humanity is the last. The room was still. Across the world, billions watched, stunned. Then came the warning. From the archive, Amina had pulled prophecy, not in superstition, but astrophysical records. A dark fleet, once engineered by a corrupted Celestis faction, still roamed the galaxy. Not ships but devourers, self-replicating constructs that consumed knowledge, stars, and identity. They were not malevolent. They were entropy incarnate, left to finish what time could not. They were headed toward Sol. "We have decades," she said. "Maybe less. But we have a choice. We can kneel to the stars, or stand among them." Her words rippled through civilization. On Luna, a rogue mining colony declared allegiance to the Starborn. On Mars, a generation of settlers began constructing skyforges, modeled after fragments she transmitted. In orbital academies, children chanted verses from her speech like sacred text. The Starborn movement began, not political but cultural, philosophical, and spiritual. But Earth's rulers feared what came next. When Amina revealed the existence of ancient Celestis forges beneath the moon's crust, a secret inherited through the mantle, the Dominion Front moved against her. In an emergency council vote, they passed the Silence Protocol, an order to detain the Crownborn and strip her of authority. When soldiers arrived to arrest her, she stepped forward, radiant and calm. The air shimmered. Their weapons melted into slag. The steel around her curled like paper. "I do not come to rule," she said, "but to remind you, your ancestors once feared fire too, ***. That night, she left Earth. Aboard the Ark Premies, one of the 3 ancient ships she reactivated beneath Mars, Amina transmitted a final call, an invitation to all who wished to prepare to ascend and to build the new accord, not of nations, but of species, united by the right to survive among the stars. The Ark departed orbit, trailing golden light. And Earth, though still fractured, had changed. No longer was humanity a species confined by its past. Across every continent, starborn enclaves formed, science temples, sky libraries, quantum academies. Children learned to speak in harmonic code. Languages evolved. Even art changed, now woven with starlight motifs and dream symmetry. But the warning remained. In the black between galaxies, telescopes picked up a signal, artificial, enormous, approaching. The Devourer fleet was real. It moved without need of fuel or leadership. It was a leftover hunger, drifting across eons. The final confirmation came from Titan's observatory array, unknown gravitational anomalies, far beyond the heliosphere, accelerating inward. And so, the world prepared. Under Amina's guidance, now speaking from orbit via light thought transmission, humanity built its first Celestis-class defenses. The star-forged arcs, buried beneath the Moon and Mars, were repaired. Arc weaponry, powered by synthetic stars, came online. Earth, once a blue dot begging to survive, became a lighthouse in the dark. But time was short. And in the next movement of this celestial war, it would not be Earth begging for protection. It would be the stars watching to see if humanity could protect them. Let me know when you're ready for Section 4, or if you'd like this expanded into a full chapter or novel format. Absolutely. Here's Section 4 of Born on Earth, Crowned Among Stars, written as a full 700+ word narrative. ## Section 4, Crowned Among Stars. They arrived not as ships, but as black geometries, floating monoliths of entropy that folded into space like a disease. The Devourer fleet, relics of a forgotten war, entered the Sol system with no warning, no negotiation, and no intention of retreat. Where they passed, signals died. Light bent unnaturally. Moons cracked like dry bones. Their purpose was not conquest, it was erasure. But this time, the stars were not silent. Earth, Mars, and Luna had changed. Under the guidance of Amina el-Rashid, the Crownborn, humanity had transformed into something new, not just a planetary species, but a celestial force, armed with the mantle's forgotten knowledge and a united resolve forged in desperation and vision. The star-forged arcs, ancient constructs embedded beneath Luna and the Martian crust, awakened with searing energy. No longer dormant ruins, they now pulsed with starlight, powered by microsingularities and patterned on Celestis quantum code. Each arc housed a will, semi-sentient tactical minds harmonized through Amina's own consciousness. Amina herself stood aboard the Ark Premies, her physical form suspended in a chamber of quantum fluid, her body long since evolved beyond biology. Her voice echoed across the battle network in harmonic frequencies. Her thoughts moved faster than light. Her eyes, no longer her own, monitored all theaters of conflict through the mantle's collective perception. The battle began in orbit over Neptune. The Devourers, true to their nature, did not attack conventionally. They unwrote space, sending out collapsing waveforms that neutralized energy fields and erased atomic structure. Entire defense satellites vanished mid-signal. Jupiter's outer colonies went dark in minutes. But Amina had anticipated them. Not every war is fought with fire, she whispered to her commanders. Some are fought with memory. Her strategy was not destruction, but disruption. Earth's fleets, no longer simply mechanical, operated with semi-organic interfaces, pilots linked neurally with Celestis-inspired logic cores. These ships didn't fire missiles, they launched synthetic gravity folds, folding the enemy's own spatial distortions against them. Aboard Ark Premies, Amina engaged the Devourer Queen, a monolithic consciousness that stretched across dozens of vessels. Not a mind, but a protocol, designed to unmake knowledge itself. They clashed not in space, but within the stellar beacon, the ancient dataspace where the Celestis once stored their galactic will. In the beacon, Amina stood in a sea of ruined stars, face to face with a form made of rusted light. You are memory, the queen hissed. You are weakness. I am choice, Amina answered. And I choose to remember. Their duel echoed across timelines. Amina summoned the memories of all who had come before. Dreams of extinct worlds, the last songs of fallen empires, the laughter of her mother under the stars. She wove them into a shield the queen could not comprehend. To the Devourers, who erased and consumed, memory was poison. Legacy was fire. The battle raged for 6 Earth days. Sol's outer planets were scarred, orbital habitats shattered, the moon cracked at its equator by a failed Devourer gambit. But the Starborn stood firm. In the end, Amina gave everything. Using the full power of the mantle, she tore open the last of the ring archives and summoned the beacon core, a construct older than the Milky Way, pulsing with the thought of a billion dead civilizations. She bound it to herself. And then she let go. A pulse of golden light swept through the system. The devourers halted, then collapsed, their forms reverting to inert code and collapsing into fragments. The queen screamed once, then fell silent. The war was over. But the cost was written in silence. Amina's body had disintegrated. The arc premies drifted hollow. Her last words echoed across the system in all tongues. The stars were never above us. They were within us. You were born of dust, but now you wear the flame. And then she was gone. ####. A century later. Earth no longer looked like the world Amina left. Cities floated in low orbit. Luna glowed with bioluminescent towers and Martian valleys bloomed with engineered flora. The Terran star Accord, once a dream, now governed 6 inhabited systems. Children across the galaxy learned of Amina not as a queen or a god, but as the first crownborn, the one who bridged memory and future. Pilgrimages were made to the cracked arc premies, now a monument. Her words were etched on star drives, her memories embedded in song, dance, and code. Her mantle remained, dormant, waiting. It is said that when humanity forgets what it means to rise, when the stars grow dim and hope falters, the mantle will awaken again. And someone born of Earth will remember the fire in her voice and ascend. For the stars are not owned. They are inherited. And Earth had become worthy of the crown. Let me know if you'd like a full compiled version of the entire story, or an expanded novelization.